where do we see the possibility, say, for example, for political change in Kenya? If politics is dominated by what you describe as geriatric men or recycling of these sets of elites, and you rightly point out, it's also the case that in Kenya, there is a history of people actually protesting in the 90s. There was this, like, as you said, civil society pushing for a democracy after Moi. So there's two things that have been happening. You refer, one, to the fact that Kenya does have a left tradition. So this is a kind of the question is sort of like, one is what is this? Is there a Kenyan left? Is it, if not, what happened to it? And the related question is, how is Kenya being impacted by the current sort of energy around Black Lives Matter? So to ask, I'm sort of putting a little bit of meat onto the question. What the question was suggesting is like what other kinds of political futures are possible for Kenya, and where is it coming from? And I'll mention one other quick thing. There's a new movie that's about to come out called Softy, about one of us, Mwangi, who I know is sort of like known in Kenya, young photographer, who's known for these sort of spectacular public events of kind of trying to shame public officials. So, I've thrown a lot out there, but like, can you sort of just sketch that world of like, what is politically possible? What's the role of the left in it? What is the role of Pan-Africanism or left/Black Lives Matter?
So, I see a lot of hope in the young, like multiple grassroots organizations that are sprouting everywhere, who are not only remembering histories that people remembering histories that people have forgotten. For example, Mau Mau was proscribed in this country until 2002. That's 40 years after independence. So that can tell you the priorities of these elite men. But I see a lot of hope in young grassroots organizations. For example, in the social justice centers, there are about 30 social justice centers in this country, which have sprung up by local volunteer activists who are connecting local issues to broader national issues. So issues like police violence, issues like land grabbing, all of these issues, and trying to have a bigger framework to have a stronger front against the political violence that exists in this country. So that's one front. Please do not look for the in Kenya's trade unions, because the coalition for trade union in Kenya is just a comprador institution, and it's run by a man who has been in power for 20 years and he's just a corporate entity, and he goes on TV to talk about his sexual abilities. That's what this man does. So please, unfortunately, the Coalition for Trade Unions, even if they have an amazing history with Makan Singh, who was a young man he was a South Asian man who brought Black and Indian workers together to form a trade union in the 50s, and then he was detained for 11 years. I think he's one of the longest serving political prisoners in the country. So we have a history with Makan Singh, all of these people, but trade unions, unfortunately, while the workers may have the desire, the umbrella organization has just been co-opted by just some mafioso, really, unfortunately. But please, I hope I'm not making everyone just run home and cry. Like, there's a lot of hope. There's so many young people who were protesting on the streets 2 weeks ago. They took coffins to parliament because they're like, you can't kill us anymore. So if you're in Kenya, join your local social justice center, join a local grassroots organization, because they're doing the work. And I mean, it's incremental. And they are coming on the backs of people like Mwa Kenya in the 1980s, who was a coalition of really like radical Kenyans, some of whom were forced into exile, but questioning the Moi government. They're coming on the backs of the Mau Mau. So they're learning from Piogama Pinto, Mekatilili Wamenza, who used to sing, and like an old auntie who was 60, who used to go from village to village singing against the colonial government. So there are these histories that are informing young people's actions today. And even if formal politics is just dire, it's just like a soap opera for men. Just be strong because people are doing the work.
To maybe ask a follow-up question. I don't know if you want to go, Sean. I don't know if you want to say something.
Can
But
I
I mean,
actually,
the follow-up.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything about Black Lives Matter.
yeah, go ahead, answer that. Yeah.
Just related, Kenyans have always been internationalists. There's like in South Africa, people are demanding that apartheid ends in Palestine. They remember Venezuelans, they remember Cubans, they remember like, unfortunately we invaded Somalia, but everyday Kenyans don't want Somalia to have been invaded, you know? And equally, Black Lives Matter is like, Africans are down for African lives everywhere to be lived with dignity and to be free from violence. Currently, about 2 weeks ago, there was a protest in Kenya. There were two protests. There was one against killings in Kenya that was not organized, intentionally thinking about George Floyd, but was made to correspond to that moment. But there was an event organized to protest outside the American embassy for George Floyd. So in as much as that wasn't big, and in as much as the protests kind of flowed into each other and I think they were registered as a protest intentionally for George Floyd, they were also for all the Kenyan lives who've been killed here. In 3 years between 2013 and 2016, 803 Kenyans were killed by the police. So it was as much for George Floyd as those Kenyans, and even if maybe in our daily actions we don't register, we are not referencing Black Lives Matter. We're not saying, we don't have that slogan. For sure, we are working in all these actions that young people are doing, whether explicit or not. They connect to the struggle for Black lives and for all, I'm not going to say all that, but for Black lives and for like people to live with dignity everywhere and for a more concerted Pan-Africanist struggle.